Joining me now from Lebanon, Indiana, big-time TV star, Hollywood star. You can find him in Gotham. He's been in Malcolm in the Middle. He's a big Colts fan, which I've learned is a nightmare. Drew Powell, how's it going?
What's up, buddy? Can I call you Boomstick, or is that done now?
Well, the Boomstick has retired, but the name will live on forever.
Excellent.
How are you, man?
Dude, I'm great. I'm living the dream. Literally living the dream.
Where are you right now? You're in New York City?
In New York City, yeah. I live in Brooklyn. That's the East River behind me there. I'm looking out at the studios where I shoot, so we landed in a perfect spot. It's a long way from Lebanon, Indiana, but we love it all the same.
I'll tell you what, you're living pretty nice. You got this little penthouse view of the river and the city and your studio. There's some Italians moving some shit into the boat. I can see it right over your shoulder right there.
Look at that. That's the Manhattan Bridge. You got the Brooklyn Bridge over there, man. It's all going off.
Hey, that Brooklyn Bridge has been for sale for a long time. Everybody talks about it.
I can get you a good deal, bro.
How did you know you're from Lebanon, Indiana, which is a small town?
Yeah, it's about, it was probably 10, 15,000 growing up.
When you were a kid, you knew you wanted to get into entertainment?
Yeah, man, it was like from the beginning. I used to put on shows with my cousins in the living room, man. I was a kick-ass break dancer in second grade.
Okay.
Man, I could worm. Yeah, legit. I was actually, and your Indiana fans will know this, I did a commercial when I was in 5th grade for Bob Gregory on WTHR 13, like a promo.
And that's when it all started.
Yep. And you know what? I took the money from that, which I think was like $25, and I bought a Pac-Man watch. And I was like, wait a minute, they're going to pay me to be on TV, and then I can get a Pac-Man watch? I'm in.
What a win. I'm happy you didn't conserve any or save any of your money. You went straight for the $25 Pac-Man watch.
You got to blow it right away.
I live that way very much, Drew, so I respect that a lot. Get that check. That check can't go out fast enough. All right, so where's your first big break after Lebanon? Did you go to college for theater or acting, or what the fuck did you do?
What? Yeah, man, I went to DePaul down there in Greencastle, Indiana.
Okay, Indiana.
Yep, I thought I was going to get the heck out of Indiana, and then I got a scholarship, and I stayed, and it was like probably the best thing that ever happened to me because I was able to do a whole lot of stuff there. I was actually an English major. I did some stuff. We did TV shows down there. I did theater. I did all that stuff, and then like 2 weeks after I graduated, packed up the Honda Accord and drove to L.A., and my first gig was Malcolm in the Middle, as you mentioned.
That is fucking – that show was a staple. Everybody loves Raymond, Malcolm in the Middle, and Home Improvement. Those are like staples of my childhood.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely. And I got to tell you, my very first day, I get on set and I go into the studio. It's like a big deal. They show me to my trailer. I didn't know I'd have a trailer.
Okay.
This was a big deal. Like, my brain was about to explode. And then they gave me a VCR. You remember those days?
Yeah.
A tape. And I put it in the VCR in my trailer, and I watched the pilot because the pilot hadn't aired yet. And I was like, oh my God. And you had Bryan Cranston with like nude getting his, balls shaved or whatever they were doing. And it was like, and then the kid in the wheelchair like tipped himself over on purpose. I'm like, I don't think you can do that. And it was a big deal. And it was like, that ended up being like the biggest hit for them since The Simpsons. And, the rest is history. So I did 13 episodes of that and was off to the races.
All right, so let's talk about you mentioned it. I didn't want to mention it. You watched Bryan Cranston shave his balls. Any other weird Hollywood shit happen to you? That's now it's all coming out right now, Drew.
It's all coming out. It's going out right off the bat. I do have a story about that. So one of the episodes, like maybe 3/4 of the way through my stint there, I'm reading. I get the script. And back in the old days, they used to FedEx a script to your door. It was before email.
Sliding
really.
the DMs with the FedEx.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
did you ever see Bowfinger?
No.
Classic.
Oh, you got to see Bowfinger, man. Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin.
My guy on the ones and twos, his name's Ty Schmidt. He's like a big time theater nerd too. So like,
nice. What's up, Ty?
Yeah, Ty's probably knows all about whatever you're about to reference. I
don't. Well, there's a scene there where it's all about the FedEx truck because I was like, it's anyway. Look it up, you'll see it. But the point is, the script comes and it reads. It says Cadet Drew ends up naked, being carried out by a bunch of girls. And so I immediately dropped to the floor and did push-ups. Then got a bottle of spray tan. That didn't work out very well. So if you look at that episode, I'm literally orange. And they rip off my clothes. It's a bunch of local girls. We're in the military school with Francis. A bunch of local girls crash this party, or crash our party. And they literally like take me out of my tighty-whities on their shoulders. 6 stunt women take me out on their shoulders. And then at the end of the episode, you find me huddled naked in a fetal position, after having been taken advantage of. And so to prepare for that, though, the big gimmick on that show was if you're going to be naked, we're going to do some crafty thing. So I had the executive producer, the showrunner, and the director all come in, and they had like a bag of Lay's, like a mini bag of Lay's potatoes. Well, maybe it was a full-size bag.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a fun size. It was a fucking extra big. Yeah.
It was a Pringles container.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how. So I'm in these flesh-colored Speedos, and I'm sitting in my dressing room, like on the floor on the ground. It was very awkward. And they're trying to figure out how they can position the bag of chips to make it look like. And they couldn't figure it out in the end. So they just shot above my knees. But that was one of the weirdest Hollywood experiences I ever had.
Hey, listen, if you can't tone it, tan it. Just spray the shit out of yourself. I do that anytime I got to go to the West Coast. I respect it. I respect that move.
Legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was so stupid.
Jesus. Have you enjoyed being an actor? So this is like a crisis time in Hollywood right now. Every day I go onto Twitter, there's a new whole on fucking crisis management. I assume for guys that are good people, genuinely good people, it's a good time to be in the business. And I'm assuming for you, it's like almost like a Hollywood has to showcase the good people of Hollywood nowadays. And I feel like I've known you for a few years. You seem to be a good guy. What's your take on the whole Hollywood situation?
It's a really good question, Pat. I think it's one of those things where because there's no other job. Well, that's not true. My friends that are professional athletes, and you understand this, there is a similarity between being a professional athlete and being an actor or somebody in Hollywood, because it's a job that a lot of people want to do. You oftentimes have to have a specific skill to be able to do that. And because there's so many people that want to do it, then kind of all bets are off as to how you get there and what happens once you do get there. And so for a long time, I think the status quo was, listen, you do what you got to do to get ahead in this business, which is complete bullshit, as you and I both know. But that was the nature of the beast. And so I think it's great that finally, some of these assholes are being called out. Because it's been coming for a long time.
Yeah, and listen, I understand actors are just like professional athletes. You shower together. Sometimes you got to give it. Sometimes you got to, do something. You should have seen me and Bill Polian. He said, "You want to get drafted or not?" And I said, "You got it, bud. Whatever you need."
Now I'm thinking about Bill Polian's scrotum. Thanks for that.
That guy was a gentleman. But I can understand how the power of the people who are in power is endless, because there is a slew of humans who can do your job just like you can, just like that, in their eyes. And that's probably how they make people believe it, so they take advantage of it. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I think that's exactly right. It's one of those deals where, you just got to, when I moved to Hollywood, I didn't know anybody. I was just out of college. I had a job working part-time as a youth director at a church, of all things.
Oh, amen, cuz.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, how come Noah doesn't get enough credit for being the first person to ever document blackout? Like, he's the first documented blackout, Noah is. And I just think he deserves more credit.
You know what? That's a theological question I'd never considered. I'm going to have to go back on that one. That's a good one.
He's like 650 years old at this point. He has his own vineyard, and he just blacks out, gets naked, and his kids find him, and they're like, "Oh, Dad got a little drunk." No, Dad got blacked out. The guy that saved the world with his ship blacked out.
Blacked out. And that's Old Testament stuff right there, bro.
All right, so you worked as a youth counselor at a church out there.
I did, and for a couple of years, and then it was a good way for me to have a center, like focus on something else besides acting. Because when it's acting, it's all about you. It's like, what do I look like? Got my pictures. Like, well, when am I going to get my first job? All that stuff. So it was a good start for me because I had a kind of a base, a foundation to start from.
It was a distraction, really, to keep you from worrying about everything. Yeah, absolutely.
A good distraction, yeah. So look, it's a hard gig, man. And people ask me all the time. I get calls from like people that went to my college or whatever. Like, I want to be an actor. What do I do? And I'm like, I don't have a freaking clue, man. I mean, honestly, it's like everybody I know in this business has a different path. Like, there's no one way to do it.
You could be The Rock too. You could professional wrestle. You could have $7 and professional wrestle, and then get on top of the world real quick.
That's right. One of my first movies was with John Cena of all people.
What? How'd that go?
Yeah, man. I did The Marine.
Oh, Jesus. That's that guy in the back. Did you just hear him just cream back there? He just lost his shit in the back.
Cena was great too because this was early in his career, so like he was getting famous, but he wasn't the Cena that we know now. And man, he would on the week we were shooting in Australia, and he would on the weekends go back to America, like go to Columbus and do a freaking WWF. See, it's still WWF to me, WWE event, and then come back.
That's the World Wildlife Foundation. Have some fucking respect for the pandas.
That's right. That's where the junkyard dog lives, bro.
Yeah, Cena was a fucking grinder that's why he's so big. That's why he is what he is. Now, granted, he wasn't my favorite WWE character, but he was a grinder. He was everywhere. I'm happy for him.
And he come back with injuries too. Like, you know, I know it's all fake, quote unquote, but like he would have like stuff on his lip and his hand would be like somebody bit him in the hand. Like it's rough.
We're like, hey man, we're trying to film a fucking movie here.
Exactly. You gotta cover up the freaking cherry on his lip that somebody gave him.
All right, so what's going on in Drew Powell's life now? You're a Colts fan, which is miserable. I alluded to that earlier. What the fuck?
Oh, man, it hurts. It hurts. It reminds me of I remember when you and I saw the podcast with you and Winnetary and the GOAT and talking about that season that you guys suffered through. We all suffered through because, you know, we're all part of the team. It's our team. It's
Absolutely.
my team. Yeah. And this feels kind of like that.
It's a
without Curtis Painter.
Curtis Painter had a rough go. Jesus Christ,
he
had a rough go.
Seemed like a nice fella too.
But he was a very nice guy. But boy, he was in a bad spot. It's just this whole being a Colts fan thing is very difficult though. Like I was a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins growing up.
Yep.
But I was so distracted by everything else. Like I was happy when they won, but when they lost, it wasn't that big of a deal. I watched my dad like throw remotes on Sundays because the Pittsburgh Steelers, because of Bill Cowher and fucking Cordell Stewart and Yancey Thigpen. These guys, fuck, you can't fucking do anything, right? It's like I lose his mind. And now that I'm a Colts fan, because I have so many friends in the building that aren't players, that are in the building, I just want them to be happy. Because when you win, the whole building's happy. When you lose, the whole building's miserable. And I just want them to win. And whenever they're losing in the last second, it's like, fuck, that's a miserable life over there.
Absolutely. And I also think that Indianapolis fans, I'm biased, but Indianapolis has great sports fans. Like, you know, we don't have the cockiness of LA and New York and Chicago. Like this sports for a lot of us is what we live for, man. You know, it's been a sports town, always has been.
Well, the big thing about Colts fans and Indianapolis fans is they're not the most rowdy. They're not the most drunk, but they'll be there. They will be there. That year we were 2-14, that place was still filled up. Now, granted, there's people putting like plastic bags over their head. I'm like, go move to fucking Cleveland. Like, this is one year with 100 and some million on the sideline with a broken neck. Like, just relax for a second.
Exactly. Chill out. But, we just had a Super Bowl not long ago.
Yeah, exactly. We just won one. Cleveland has been 20 years of misery over there. Just see how they are. But I enjoy the Indianapolis fans, and Indianapolis Colts fans deserve a good fucking team, and I just don't know what's going on right now.
I know it's rough, and it's like I think that the brain power that it takes to put together a team and the salary cap and all that stuff is huge. But then you look at basic stuff like offensive line problems that we've had for years and years and years, and you know, running game problems. Like you just like, can't you figure that out? Like,
listen, I play fantasy football now, cuz there are some simple fucking moves we can make that could really fix this whole goddamn thing.
Exactly.
Grigson was so bad, dude. He was so bad. He fucked the whole building. He really did.
He looked like the bad guy from an 80s film.
He is a bad guy. He's an actual bad guy from 2000 now. He's a bad guy. That's what he is. That guy stole money from me. Just stole.
He's the guy you want to see the get paint poured all over him at the end of the movie.
Fuck.
Oh, man. Get back in his Trans Am and speed away.
I would love that. And maybe if that Trans Am could flip into that Back to the Future thing and send him to another fucking decade. What's next for Drew Powell? You're in Gotham, right? What's happening with Gotham? I don't follow along with Gotham as much as I probably should because I have a friend in the show, which is you. What's up with Gotham? It's like season 48 right now?
Yeah, we're halfway through we're halfway through shooting season 4. We're they just aired episode 7 on the past Thursday. This Thursday coming up is episode 8, which is a good one for me. So the Cliff Notes version, Pat, is, and now you don't even have to watch. You can just skip right to next Thursday.
Awesome.
Is because who cares about the rest of the characters? And let's talk about my character.
Yeah, that's what I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you. Yeah, fuck every other character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's when you read a script, it's bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. My line. Bullshit. My line. That's the truth. Any actor that says it's not, they're lying.
Phil, the show, me, thank you. Phil, me, thank you. It's weird
See,
you guys only, yeah, it's weird you only, for punting. So that year we were 2-14.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, you know what? These fans, they're going to be miserable the rest of the game, but I'm going to give them something that they're going to walk out of there and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Our punter wasn't bad though. That's what I try to do. And whenever we play in away games, I'm like, my goal by the end of this game is for some of these drunk motherfuckers, whenever they leave, to be like, you know what? That punter for the Colts did some shit that I ain't never seen before.
Absolutely. Well, I'm telling you this, and this is the part of the show where we blow smoke up your ass. But the hit that you made on that return is still one of the greatest plays by any punter ever in the history of the NFL.
I'll tell you what. I was just running with my eyes closed, Drew, and I hit the fuck out of him. Yeah.
That was a whammo right there.
I was sore for a week. I was sore for 1 week. My body wasn't meant for that type of shit. He was small too. He's an Olympic sprinter, that guy, Trenton Holiday. And So when I kicked it off, it was supposed to be a touchback because he was so good. I didn't do that, so I immediately fucked up. 5 yards short. It was supposed to be 5 yards further. Don't let Trenton Holiday touch the ball. This is Peyton Manning's big return to Indianapolis. Everybody's losing their shit for him. Let's not give them any momentum on a kickoff return out of nowhere. So I kick it off. It's not a touchback. Motherfucker, my first thought. God damn it. Then he starts
running towards him.
Yeah, then he starts running, and I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I know what's about to happen. And wham, he just starts sprinting, and I'm like, well, fuck, here you go. You're a little bit overweight. You decided not to work out this offseason. How do you feel right now? Let's see how those little knees get to running, cuz you better hit a little turbo boost like you're Sonic the Hedgehog and figure this shit out. So I started sprinting with my eyes closed, Drew, just as fast as I could on the angle I thought it was. And literally, like, when I open my eyes, I'm like right by him. I'm like, here we go, cuzzo. And I just do like a punching tackle, which is not, there's no class or clinic being taught where you punch somebody in their shoulder pad. And then I lost my shit. He falls down on the sideline. I completely black out, forget what happens. I stand up. Peyton Manning and John Fox are standing next to me. What's up, cuz? And then I just kind of walk it off. A ref comes up to me. Are you okay? Am I okay? What the fuck just happened? Am I okay? Why are they out? So then I jog off, and I look up at this big screen, and I see the hit finally, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, cuzzo.
Decleated, baby. He got decleated.
The whole stadium, though, lost their shit. Like, the stadium went nuts. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are.
That had to feel so good, right?
No, because my stats were fucked. Like, drive start is my stat. And he was out at like the fucking 50. I'm like, that's not good for our stats at all. Like, this is not good at all for our stats. This is not good.
Screw the stats. That clip lives on in history.
You know why, though? Because fucking Chris Collinsworth, the guy who, he started Pro Football Focus, which I very much respect. They named me all pro like 45 years in a row. So I appreciate them. They're all scouts. But he goes, this is going to be something that punters and kickers are going to remember forever, or some quote like that. And I'm like, Chris Collinsworth, thanks for the love, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks. It was pretty cool. But we won. We won, too. So that's big news.
And listen, and I feel you. I did a movie called Touchback with Kurt Russell, which you can find somewhere, which is kind of a feel-good film. It's kind of Hoosiers meets It's a Wonderful Life, set in a football field.
Yeah, is it a punt or a kickoff, though? Because touchbacks are not a good thing, just for football.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a play on words, touchback, because we go back in time. So it opens up where it's modern day, and then we flash back to our senior year in high school when we won the championship.
Al Bundy shit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Polk
But
High.
I had to play a lineman, and they we were doing like real football drills, but of course they bring in the stunt guys because they don't want the actors to get hurt. And I throw a fit. I'm like, come on, I could do this. Because the play was supposed to be like I'm supposed to go through the line and sack the quarterback, and so it wouldn't let me do it. And Kurt Russell comes walking up, and I'm like, Kurt, man, they won't let me do this thing. I could totally do it. He's like, oh, really? And then of course, Kurt Russell says, he's like, you should let the boy try it. And so, of course, they're like, yes, sir, Mr. Russell, whatever you want, Mr. Russell. So I get to try it. I go through. I mean, it's all set up, right? There's nobody trying to block me. Yep. I go through. I hit the guy and roll. Immediately crack my rib. I'm like, I can't breathe. It's like, oh, God. So much. But I can't show him because you can't be the a-hole that lobbied for it and then gets hurt.
Not in front of Kurt Russell.
No
way.
That's freaking Wyatt Earp, man.
All right, so what happens in episode 8 here on Thursday for your character? Who is your character?
My character is I started as Butch Gilzine, a mobster, and I've turned into this season Solomon Grundy, who is a famous DC villain.
So you just changed names?
No, I actually got shot in the head at the end of last season, point blank.
The Mafia guy did?
Yeah, Butch. Butch got shot in the head. He gets dumped into Slaughter Swamp, which comic book fans will know is where Cyrus Gold, who's another character, it revealed that my real name is not Butch Gilzine, it's Cyrus Gold. He gets dumped in Slaughter Swamp, comes back out as this kind of zombie monster character.
Whoa. So you're playing dead.
Yeah, undead. So that's been a lot of fun this whole season. Now it's a serious makeup job. Like it was 5 hours in makeup for the full body thing. So it's a serious commitment. But
every
it's
single time you act, you have to sit in a chair for 5 hours and not move.
That was for the full reveal. And when I have more clothes on, I didn't have any clothes on. I was like Bryan Cranston in that thing.
Oh, with some Pringles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A little, Yoo-hoo covering the ding dang.
Oh yeah, little cuz. Yeah,
little cuz.
Yeah, got you, little cuz.
Yeah, but now it's about 2 hours. So yeah, I sit my ass for 2 hours, and on my Instagram I posted a time lapse. It's like you just sit there and you're moving your arms, and they're literally spraying you down with a spray. It's like a spray tanner that they put makeup in, and then you put the wig on, the whole bit.
So you're like a car. They're just painting a car.
Yeah, exactly, like a wide body truck.
What? Rick Ross only drives the wide bodies. He likes the fat body.
Yes.
So hold on. What's your social media so people can follow along?
Instagram is real Drew Powell, not the fake Drew Powell, real Drew Powell, and Twitter is the Drew Powell.
Did somebody steal Drew Powell before you?
Everybody's stealing the Drew Powell, man.
Yeah, it's bullshit. They knew the train was about to get hot and heavy, so they hopped on it before you did.
That's right.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Clearly, I thought this social media thing's not gonna last.
Yeah, how about that? The internet has really changed the world. The internet has really changed some shit. Al Gore was onto something.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
What's in the future for Drew Powell? What is it? Do you have like aspirations to write your own show, write your own movie? What are your aspirations?
Yeah, man. I really I'm loving what I'm doing now. It's so great because for most of my career I bounced around, doing guest stars, doing movies, this and that. So this has been really nice to have one job for 4 years in a row, so I'm enjoying that. But yeah, I'm hoping to. I've got a few other irons in the fire. I'd love to do some writing, do some, play some music. So I do that as well.
You play music? You have any songs?
Yeah, well, I don't write music. I play music.
What's it? Oh, what's like the guitar? What do you do?
Yeah, I play the guitar and I sing. In fact, if you go to manjamtheseries.com, we did my band in LA. We made a web series and it's silly and goofy. Don't go to manjam.com.
Yeah,
now, Pat,
so different.
That's totally different. But manjamtheseries.com is funny and silly. Like we have six or so 3-5 minute episodes of a middle-aged group of guys whose garage band finally gets a gig.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, Drew, I appreciate you joining me, man. That's one of the best backdrops we've had on a Skype conversation, so I appreciate you giving us that. I feel like a real show.
Exactly. It's my pleasure, man. I've really been I've really enjoyed watching you transition, man. It's a tough deal, and you're doing a great job. So keep up the good work, man.
Well, some people's transitions are different than professional transitions, but I very much appreciate that. This has been a very good time. I've been enjoying myself, man. I get to have conversations with people that I'm genuinely intrigued by. Like learning about your story from Lebanon, Indiana to fucking 4th season of Gotham, and now you have 5 hours and 2 hours of makeup. Like that's awesome transition. I'm excited to watch and listen and hear people's stories. So I'm lucky I get to enjoy that for a living now.
It is good fun, man. And I also love where sports and entertainment meet because I'm such a sports fanatic. So, like, I could sit here for an hour with you and just talk sports, but then you got the entertainment vibe, too. So we can do it all. So let's do it again, huh?
You got it, Drew. I appreciate that. Make sure them Italians aren't dumping too many bodies behind you there.
Exactly.
There's so many bodies in that river. I couldn't even
Absolutely. We get the police boats cruising up here like once a night.
You know what, though? That city, if you stayed in that city, there isn't a single moment of silence over there at any time.
Never.
So you're in Brooklyn. That's where, Jason Sudeikis?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he lives in Brooklyn. Just a little heads up.
Oh, is that one of your pals?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I think I went to a play that he was in. What's that movie? Dead Poets Society. Yeah. I went and saw him in Dead Poets Society, and I got a chance to meet him afterwards. And I said, hey, very nice to meet you, man. Big fan. I said, how do you live in this fucking city, though? Because he's from Kansas City. I'm like, there's no quiet. He goes,
right.
Oh, I will live in Brooklyn. I take my scooter across the bridge, kind of let the hair down, and then Brooklyn's a lot nicer. So I think Brooklyn's the place to be.
It is, man. It's good. My son goes up New York public school. It's like Sesame Street down the road, man. It's great.
All right, Drew, I appreciate you. Good luck with everything. Thank you so much, Drew.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you again.
Man. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you so much.
All right, man.
See ya.